On behalf of the Council, I'd like to welcome you all to this Dunfermline City Conference today. And the purpose of the event is to hear about the work that has been going on since the achievement of city status, and more importantly to give you the opportunity to discuss an input to the development of the vision and the new city plan. It also gives us the opportunity to network and see if there are areas of common interest we can work on to take advantage of Dunfermline's newly acquired status.
Cities like Dunfermline are at the heart of sustainability and smart digital strategies as places where we can both reinforce our smart approach and think about those challenges for the future together. And we'll hear a lot more about that from our speakers as we go through today. Just a snapshot of some of the projects that have seen recent investment in Dunfermline, but there are many more, led by the private sector, the public sector and the third sector. Again, all coming together for the betterment of Dunfermline. And we have more to come.
How intrinsically do you think the whole concept of the digitisation of the city, that smart cities approach, how central is that to your vision for the future of the city? And how widespread do you think the implications might be for the city's development if Dunfermline gets it right?
So I think it's an absolutely critical part of what we'll see going forward in Dunfermline, and there's a real opportunity. So the Scottish, without taking away from what Peter will say later, the Scottish Cities Alliance has done work with the other 7 cities on a programme around a smart city called Scotland's 8th City. We are Scotland's physical 8th city, and we see a real opportunity to bring those 2 points together and actually potentially to be a real test bed, a pilot for what a smart city approach can look like. I think we're of a good size and scale to do that. I think we're already getting strong buy-in with partners. We spent the last few weeks looking at that with a range of stakeholders, and we'll continue that journey. So they're starting to foment what that underpinning of the smart city, digital city approach will look like, and as I say, I think the scale of what we have in Dunfermline and the go-ahead nature of our partners has come together at the right time to position Dunfermline into that space. And again, it's about what we can do as quick wins, what we can do in that medium term and maybe longer term horizon, and it'll be an evolving story. But if we don't do it, then other places will steal the march. And it's also about how we take that learning from Dunfermline into wider Fife to develop approaches as we go forward.
When I arrived, we got a lot of talk about being a sleeping giant. I don't want to hear that anymore. I want us to be obsessed with getting better, obsessed with being a progressive, innovative football club. And obviously winning football matches is the best sales and marketing tool I've got. But in addition to that, we're trying to build a bigger, deeper, connected fan base, which rings true a lot to the Smart City message coming through there. We're trying to develop a sophisticated marketing platform. We're trying to build our own unique USP as a proposition. And I think Friday night was a good example. I mentioned to Gordon earlier, we had more than 500 international visitors at our match on Friday night, spending money in the local economy here. You couldn't get a hotel room for love nor money, and that, I think, is something that we can impact on the city.
The Carnegie Dunfermline Trust is working with Fife Council and other stakeholders on an ambitious project to ensure that Pittencrieff Park is an outstanding destination park for locals, tourists and visitors to enjoy. All the seeds of success are here. Heritage buildings, wide open spaces, leafy glens and multiple linkages into our city centre.
We see Dunfermline as a connector, confident of its proximity to Edinburgh, positioning itself as a quiet, safe, affordable place to stay whilst visiting via the World Heritage listed rail bridge. or reaching out to Europe via the highly successful and welcoming Cruise Force shuttle service. Dunfermline City, we believe, will bring together the best that it has to offer via great leadership and a robust and joined-up planning framework, which hooks together all of its ambitions and what it aspires to be, from its cultural tourism to its sporting, learning, commercial and smart city ambitions. Dunfermline, confident, new city, weaving together the best of all that it has, strategically planned, highly connected and relevant. Thank you.
We've got the historical aspect there. There's no change to that. We've got a fantastic story to tell people, and hopefully we'll be able to take a fantastic story forward by bringing it up to date and whatever that may mean. I think we've already got a great offering. We've got fantastic people who are really, really passionate about the place. And I think, as I said when I was speaking, it's really up to us to tell people what's here in Dunfermline and to work together to make sure that that historical aspect is used as perhaps a hook, whatever we want to call it, to bring people to the city, but we move them forward into a city that's culturally developing and that we are looking after all the visits. A good experience is one that they will tell other people about. So if we get visitors coming here to have a good experience through whatever medium you use, whether it be the heritage, whether it be the green spaces, whether it be the well-being aspect, whether it be whatever else, that's what people will want to come and see, and we'll move forward in that.
Take all these opportunities, take all these threads, as I was saying in my presentation, and weave them together. This is an ancient weaving city, so we've got everything here. I think we all know that. It's just how we weave it together. But it is very much about that collective vision of looking forward.
How we foster self-belief in people, for me, is really, really important. You know, I look around the room, talented individuals in the room, I meet people in schools, talented, but I think we need a lot more belief in ourselves, belief in our organisations that we can go and achieve. I love the quote that Gillian put up about, remember we're pioneers. I think that's powerful, you know. We all need to think about is what else can we do? How do we stretch ourselves that little bit further and think big about how we can progress ourselves as individuals, our businesses and our communities?
For me, the two things are, I think we need to agree the collective vision. I think that's really important for everybody to agree on what that is. But I think we also need to all work together on pulling investment into Dunfermline as well. You know, if we're really serious about everything we're doing, we have to look at where the investment can come from. And I think there's probably lots of investment we can pull in this country and overseas, and we need to get better at doing that.
We continue the tradition of Christian worship and fellowship on the site, perhaps begun in the priory established by St Margaret, but possibly older. Whether people have faith or not, there are still those who are looking for spaces and places that offer opportunities of reflection upon who they are, the places where they live, and their hopes for the future. We hope that we're one of those spaces in the city that wants to inspire its residents and beyond. Dunfermline grew from the Abbey site, and we hope you see we want to be part of that.
In our corporate plan, we state we want the historic environment to make a real difference to all our lives, to our health, to our economy, to our culture, to our environment. We want heritage to involve everyone so that all can benefit.
I made Dunfermline my home in 2016 when I was simply looking for somewhere lovely to live. I'm pretty sure I found it. I became an accidental business owner, but like any self-respecting shopkeeper, I graft, I dust, I DIY, but I do my best to put myself forward to create a space that welcomes the community around me. I've also learned that you're never alone. I could wait for someone else to do everything for me, or I can put my hand up and ask for help. I know I'm in a room full of great people who are proactive. You'll join in with an event like this and you'll use your voice. So do dream big and seek out the person or organisation that can help you to make those big ideas a reality, and you might be surprised at what you'll find.
It's going to boost the economy in Dunfermline by many, many times. There's going to be more facilities within Dunfermline for the people of Dunfermline to use.
In the future, I don't think it's going to affect myself at all, really.
Yeah.
Hopefully it will be economic benefits and more jobs for the local area.
I'm not really sure about that. I suppose that really I'll be the same as everybody else. It'll depend what we make of it. I think it will give opportunities, and if we take these opportunities, things really positive could happen.
This is going to be fine. Because, did you see that video? Like, in Edinburgh? Where, there was like this old woman that got robbed by a man. Yeah. That was really nice. Yeah. Could be better. But what if I get robbed? Yeah, that's the thing I don't want. Yeah.
When it's a city, then more people will come.
More people will buy stuff.
And then more money
will be made. And we'll be out of the living crisis.
I think it won't affect my future, but it will definitely affect other people's futures, because now new people are born, we can get new opportunities, like new buildings will be built, like new hospitals, new work, more new stuff. That's why I don't think it will affect my future too much. It will definitely affect the future of others for the better and maybe for the worse.
Well, I think it makes Dunfermline more important, and it definitely increases our status and that. And I definitely think being a city can also, and I think I also see it as an opportunity as well, just improve Dunfermline. You know what I mean?
I think that we're all responsible for making sure that people are involved in the journey of the city, and it was clear from the second part of the video that people just don't really know and understand what city status is and how that can affect them, affect their future, particularly with the young people. It's just a title to them. At the moment, it's about how we work with our young people to encourage them and bring them along on the journey, because ultimately we're shaping a future for them and they need to be involved within that process.
So some key takeaways, I'd suggest starting with some kind of a framework, clarifies goals and expectations, some external governance to define responsibilities and stakeholders, think about your strategic vision and what kind of skills are needed to support that, and then also focus on security and privacy, because in a sense, the more data that gets managed, the more potential risks there are, but also the more ownership is going to be required for managing that. In terms of data, lots and lots of questions about data that could be collected, from footfall data to mobility data to smart meter data to housing data. But again, trying to encourage people in the workshop to think about how their data helps not just their teams, but also other teams. And then how does this data help transform Dunfermline and Fife? So in a sense, trying to break open the silo. But the bit that I actually want to focus on is actually the smart transformation potential. In many ways, the opportunity, I'd say, for Dunfermline and for Fife is to use this as the way of working back and almost reverse engineering what projects can add the most value.
One of the mistakes places make is not being willing to make mistakes. So that's probably a good starting point. I would also say that whatever Dunfermline does is part of a much bigger story. It's a Fife story, it's a Scotland story, it's a UK story, it's a Europe story, it's also a global story. Places are always changing, they never stay the same, and that, in some ways, that's going to create an interesting tension, but also opportunity between heritage assets and a future that maybe is more digital and looks a little different. So, in a sense, the other thing is don't lose sight of where you've come from, but also don't lose sight of where you want to go. A city is very much about concentrating people and ideas and activities. I mean, that's what a city is all about. It's about bringing people together. I mean, we don't decide to live in houses right next to our neighbors because there's no benefit to it. Actually, there's a benefit to being close to other people. But the way of achieving that is not easy. And so the reason that we have such sophisticated urban governance is because it's actually quite hard for people to live together as much as we want to. And so I would say that the desire to collaborate and coordinate is central to why we want to live in a city. Like, it's a key aspect of being in a city. But the way of achieving that is not necessarily the same everywhere.
As we talk about growth and ambitions for scale and cities and bigger and higher, and didn't you say higher and heavier? Places could get higher and heavier. That's all great, but we have to remember at the centre of it are thousands of people who want to consider this to be their home forever. And part of my job and the college's job is to make sure that this can be your home forever. You don't have to go away, you don't have to feel ostracised in your place. You can learn, study and work and live in the same place if you want to for your whole life.
I think that there's a great sort of can-do attitude in the room, and I think that's a great start. Because people are not seeing the barriers, they're more thinking about what the solutions are to some of Dunfermline's future.
It's been a really interesting day. I think a lot of really good presentations, a lot of exciting buzz in the room. I think the one slight frustration I have is us talking about how we join all this together and make sure that a really positive objective comes out of today and who's going to be responsible for that. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of really, really good discussion, and it provides a really good platform, I think, for moving forward.
Lots of positivity, lots of great things being said. The key with events like this is, one, that it's happening, and that's a great step forward, that it's happening. But two, that we get a roadmap from this.
I am hoping that the conference will achieve a collective vision for what we want Dunfermline to be, and I'm hoping that there'll be buy-in from all the different stakeholders and communities that are here today.
I think if we get some plan for the way forward would be good. We've heard a lot of different things, and there's always a lot of activity and a lot of discussion and various initiatives that can come forward. I think it'd be good to try and crystallise some of these so we get a sense of a forward plan.
I hope the conference will achieve action in terms of how we distill and bring together all of the vision, the things that have been shared, that it results in something transparent, really well communicated fairly quickly and effectively, and a really strong planning group coming together.
I think for me it's hope. It's hope that things are going to get better. Not that it's bad in the first place, but there is growth going to happen here. Hope that we can start filling all the shops in the high street, all the empty units. Like, hope that we'll attract more people to therefore shop, and then we can get the bigger businesses back in.
I'm really hoping that this will give a fantastic opportunity for all the community groups, the charities, the businesses that are in Dunfermline City, that are really enthusiastic about Dunfermline City status. They're wanting to know what they can do with it.
We've got a great opportunity to be a smart city. I think it's got, as a national agency, we obviously are looking across the whole of Scotland, so Dunfermline's got the opportunity to learn from what all the other cities have been doing and to take the best and to make it work for Dunfermline.
I think it's an opportunity. It raises the profile of Dunfermline, and I think gives us a chance to actually stimulate action and collaboration particularly. And I think one of the things that has struck me about all the contributions today is the power of partnership and collaboration that people see, and how working together on things you can actually achieve much more than working in isolation.
City status represents an opportunity. It's an opportunity for Dunfermline to welcome the world and for the world to look into Dunfermline. And I think it's something that we just need to look at working together to maximise those opportunities and to leverage that. And today, as I say, is part of that process.
I think if we can get down to a small number of priorities that everybody can agree on as a first step, because we need to think about the short term and the longer term for development of projects and activities which support our city plan as we go forward. But I think there are some crystallising around smart cities and around place and around culture and heritage. I'm looking forward to seeing what's coming out of the workshops this afternoon, which will enhance and build on that.
You are playing such an important role in our city, and I don't want to just thank you for everything you've done and said today, but everything that you have been doing in the recent years. You've been doing a wonderful job for our city, and I can tell you now that as a council we appreciate your efforts. The next few years are going to be a really exciting opportunity for the city of Dunfermline. You know, we are at the start of a great journey, but there's much more to look forward to, and I look forward to working with you to make it a success. Thank you.